The following video demonstrates the actions needed to be taken during a bin, entrapment, or engulfment rescue.
There's kind of different ways people end up being buried or stuck in the grain. Sometimes you have that bridging condition, if you know what that is. Like, it looks like a nice level grain all the way across the bin. You walk across, there's a big crust. The crust breaks through. There's a void underneath, and that farmer, that person inside, gets buried that way. We see a lot of chunked up grain when they go inside and try to get that grain to flow. So a lot of times there's an auger or something like that involved with the situation as well. So making sure everything is shut off before you actually go inside and start your rescue procedures is huge too. We see a lot of grain that gets kicked up on the side walls too inside the bin. They go in there and try to break that loose and comes down and buries them that way too. So just some different situations. We don't talk a whole lot about cutting into the bins. I don't know if you guys practice that at all, or talk about that for actually like draining the bin. So sometimes you have to do that to get the grain out of there so you can get to the victim if you don't know where they're at.
Make sure local emergency responders have been contacted before beginning the rescue. Having multiple plans in place for a rescue is essential, as things can change in an instant. The first step in a rescue is to make sure the site is secured, making sure you have a harness with a tag line tied off to the outside so you yourself do not become entrapped or engulfed during the rescue process. Once you are ready to enter the bin to perform the rescue, you want to make sure not to have too many rescuers inside of the bin. The victim then must be secured to a tag line. This will ensure that the victim does not sink further into the grain. One way to help alleviate the pressure and to give you a sturdy surface to stand on would be to use pop crates. Once the rescuers reach the victim, they want to ask if they have any limbs situated unusually. This could be an arm or a leg sticking out that would hinder the process of inserting the rescue tube sections. If the victim is not responsive, some things you could use would be like a piece of rebar to gently insert into the grain to see if any limbs are positioned away from the body. There are many options when it comes to rescue tubes or cofferdams. The one in this video will be showing a 4-section rescue tube. The purpose of the tube or cofferdams is to create a barrier around the victim so you can remove the grain from inside to the outside. You can use multiple rescue tubes, add them together to create a bigger barrier. The purpose of the rescue tube is to remove the grain from around the victim, not the victim from the grain. The unit sections are meant to be placed separately, as this will allow you to insert the sections further into the grain, creating the seal around the victim. Once you have the tube around the victim, you can work as a team to insert the sections of the tube further into the grain. This can be done by having your partner grab the section of the tube on your side while you push to insert it further into the grain. This should be completed on all sections of the tube. Once you have the rescue tube in place, the next step would be to remove the grain from inside of the tube. In this example, we will show you the use of a grain rescue auger. There are many options that you could use to remove the grain from inside of the tube. Other options would include a baseball cap, a coffee can, or even a shop vac. If the victim is responsive and able, you could have them shovel the grain towards the rescue auger to help remove it quickly. As grain is being removed from inside of the rescue tube, press down on each section to make sure you can remove more and more grain. If they are responsive, you could actually have them try to climb up or work their way out of the grain to free themselves. If the victim is unresponsive, you can then utilize the harness and tag line that you attached to them earlier. Once the victim is freed from the grain and safely on the ground, emergency responders can then give medical treatment as needed. For more information on grain safety, contact your local Agtegra cooperative.